Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Surprise, a little tarot after dark. I did post a message earlier today. It was a breaking news, more of a spiritual download message. I hope you got a chance to check it out. It was some deep stuff, and I also posted the links to some associated, I would say, readings and messages in the comments of both part 1 and 2 and also on the community tab. So, listen at your own discretion, at your own will, and take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But don't be don't be distracted by, or I should say dismayed by, the lack of cards in that video, because I assure you there's no lack of intrigue in the message. So check it out if you haven't already. So yeah, it's a little bit late tonight, but I didn't actually do an actual tarot reading. I felt guided to just leave the energy where it was earlier, so I just decided to show up unannounced tonight. I am a little bit sleepy, and I feel like more suddenly tired in this moment than I even was before I decided to do this. But we're gonna thug it out nonetheless, and just get a quick message. I'm not gonna keep you long, and see what comes up. That's way too many, but that's the Page of Swords. What else is new? People watching and observing and looking from a distance, curious about what's going on outside of themselves. All right, let's see what we got. I'm taking this. That was kind of weird how that toppled over, but I'll take it. Wow, okay. It's a different vibration. I like it. I think. You can never be too careful. Too sure, I should say, anyway. All right, so we got the Hierophant, the Sun card. I mean, when the sun is in the midst, honestly, well, we'll see. Because the worst that the sun could ever be is exposure, like shedding light on something that may be unfavorable, but that's the absolute worst the sun can really be in the tarot. It's the most positive, productive, and prosperous card in the deck. So we got the Hierophant, the Sun card, 4 of Wands, and 8 of Pentacles. Okay, so we got some teacher or religious structure or order or establishment here. Some hierarchy of or established. I said hierarchy. I didn't really mean to say that, but some establishment of order and structure, which I already did say. The Sun card, as I said, is prosperity, growth, fertility, hopeful future or present, whatever you fancy, also exposure. Then the 4 of Wands is about balance and harmony and partnership and relationship, particularly within a home or some other establishment. So we got a religious establishment or some construct of establishment. And then we got the 4, then we have some type of domestic. Okay, so this is domestic, religious, or not religious, societal. That's what I'm trying to get out. Societal structures and establishments, and domestic of the same. And then we got the 8 of Pentacles, which is about working hard, focus, toil and labor is the idea of the card. But definitely for me, I usually see the 8 of Pentacles, depending on the surrounding vibration, as something positive, meaning someone is very productive and prosperous at whatever they're focused on and whatever their attention is drawn to. And I just got to point out that suddenly I just became really warm. Like I'm sweating, and it's not that hot in here. I even have my window open a bit because there's a nice breeze. Is this the toil and labor? Like, who's sweating? Or is it the sun? My God. Let's see here. Oh. Maybe it's these, this can also give like secret society vibes. So definitely check out my last message from earlier today. But perhaps that's the energy of people are sweating under the pressure, trying to figure out, well, I don't even know. I can't even say trying to figure out nothing, because once the sun, like I said, there's a reason for why I say everything. And I said once the worst that the sun can be is exposure on things that are unfavorable. So maybe some people have some things to answer for, or things that they rather not be exposed at this time, and there's a stress about it. Perhaps about how these established orders, I really was hoping to get away from this energy as well, but it is also nighttime, so you just never know what's going to come up. But perhaps how these establishments of previously mentioned secret societies, covens, I just heard secret service. I don't even know what that's about, but whatever the established order might be, or societal congregation of sorts may be, there's a pressure because of an impending exposure on how their impacts have been made on harmony in home, and also on the productivity of those vulnerable, or even in some ways subservient. I don't really like the idea of that word, but that's probably why I don't like it, because that's the issue, that there was a subservience, a enslavement going on here, a captivity in some regards, at least an oppression. That's what it is, an oppression. And I did say pressure, sweating under the pressure. Yes, okay. So how an exposure on the effects of the establishment on more vulnerable inhabitants of society that are perhaps working class citizens, or that are maybe even middle class, because that's what this is giving me here, that keeping them oppressed in the sense not to get to a place of total prosperity, as what would be indicated with the sun, where there's just unlimited favor and productivity and abundance, and that's less worked for in some great regard in the physical sense than it is just purely inhabited, even inherited is what I'm hearing now. But let's see what else we got. That's a little ambiguous for me, but that's too many, way too many. Empress card on the deck. Four of Pentacles, holding on to resources or withholding resources. There's that. Five of Wands tried to pop in and pop out. Yeah, it's like, and that's interesting because it's like these energies, especially with the Four of Pentacles, trying to withhold resources or hold back resources, and then the Five of Wands popping out, that's chaos, confusion, competition. It's like it popped in, popped out. They don't want to be exposed. They're fighting this impending exposure at all costs, but it's really not much to fight. Like this, you can't fight the sun. You know what I'm saying? That's way too many. Yeah, that was two. I think that was Two of Wands trying to devise a plan. Knight of Cups wanting to make some offer some message of endearment, an apology, a love offer, words of adoration, some emotional exchange of sorts is being extended at least on one regard, but the strength card, like, she ain't even paying that offer no mind. Exactly. It's like, look how all these cards just plop down on them. And on the Hierophant at that. It's like they're sending out, it's like, you go type of vibe. Like sending out their best soldier to maybe survey the land, perhaps take the temperature of the people, you know, to see like, we'll see what bites, you know, see what somebody will accept, like, you know, temperature check in a simple word. Let's see, like, are they still mad? Are they, you know, are they a little bit open to, and it's coming with a sweet offer, something emotional, in essence, to kind of soften the territory a bit, you know, lead with words of affirmation, or more adoration than affirmation, or an apology, or I love you, or, you know, whatever, you know, but it's emotional, so it's something that more or less is supposed to bridge a connection. You know, that's usually with the Knights, there's some motivation or intention behind the offer, which is why they're, to me, usually more questionable. Even with the Knight of Pentacles being the most stable offer, you still have to consider, well, what the hell took so long? You know what I mean? There's the idea that he was dotting his I's, crossing his T's, but a delay is a delay one way or another, and there still has to be great consideration what the Knight offers, in my opinion, how I read, to really consider, like, what's the motivation behind, what's the motive behind this, you know, and I almost said ulterior motive, because that's probably what it is. There is an ulterior motive. That doesn't always have to be the case with the Knight. Maybe it really is just an expression of love, but the energy is diffused because it's not the King of Cups. So there's some lack of development there, you know, or like I said, some skewed motivation, even if it's not completely low vibrational or low vibrational at all, but maybe perhaps you got to consider the Knights are like teenagers or young adults, that is just not a fully developed or well thought out expression to offer, you know, especially depending on whom is being offered to. And in this case, with the Strength card, we got double Leo energy here, you know, very attractive forces, vibrant, fiery. What the hell does the Strength card, powered by the sun, want with a glass of water, unless you're like me, who doesn't have any water right now? That wouldn't mind. But you know what? I'm not really that hot anymore, and the wind is not blowing any differently than it was. So that must have been, you know, a channel in some regard. But you got, and you know, the heat of this Leo energy. So the Strength card here is someone that has a great will, you know, that is in more or less in great control of their impulses, and has dominated, or at least balanced themselves in the way of ego and pride. So it's a little bit more challenging to finesse someone in this position that knows their own strength and power, that has obviously overcome some great challenge in the first place to know their strength and power, to get them to revert back to any emotional attachment that doesn't fully present itself to be pure in this exchange here. So again, it's like they're sending in their best soldiers to test the waters, literally, to see what's going on. Like, is this something that we could still get away with, or has the ship sailed? It looks like to me the ship has sailed. You know, this is an unrequited offer of love in this regard, or just offer of any term of emotional expression, to me it looks like it's falling on deaf ears. She's basically ignoring them, looking down at this lion like, what? I'm trying to tame this lion, my guy. I ain't got time to take a sip of what's in your cup. I got bigger fish to fry over here. And then there's this crossover moment with the Six of Swords into what but the Ten of Pentacles. Yeah. Having had overcome some great challenges, maybe being put in a position because of this point of oppression from these establishments, and maybe even interference in some regard. My head keeps itching. What is that about? My head keeps itching, my crown. Yeah. Interference within either practically and quite literally of the crown chakra, or of people's ability to make their own decisions wisely in the way of their own prosperity. This is like positions of power and authority that have been assumed more or less. There's an implication in the religious sense that there is some divine ordinance, but this is appointment by man. So some have appointed themselves governors over the land, or over certain ideals, or just the flow of resources and prosperity, whether they be people, places, or things. There have been certain energies that have been placed in charge of these things to more or less oversee the operation of them and to control the operation accordingly. Keeping people focused on a relentless work of toil and labor. I don't even often use that term to describe this card, because to me it kind of feels a little bit low vibrational. So there's a reason that I specifically said this is the toil and labor card, because that was the intention, to keep the masses fixated on working hard, relentlessly, as opposed to inhabiting the rewards of their natural essence, like that was already due to them. This is what I always see as a crossover moment card into what? Harmony, peace, fairness, balance, security in the home. This work translating into, or I should say, magnifying into the Ten of Pentacles, of which it probably always was supposed to be in some regard, because the Ten of Pentacles speaks exactly to what I said before: inheritance, dynasty, legacy, what's already due to you to be passed down, that you don't really have to work for in the grand scheme of things, especially if we're talking about inheritance or estate, or, generational wealth that's just accumulated over time. The beneficiaries of that harvest aren't always, and most often aren't at all, expected to put in the same level of work to receive it, definitely not more than to receive it than what was already stored up for them. Now, it's one thing to maintain it, to multiply it, to expand it, certainly to definitely protect it is a present responsibility. But it's almost like people been put to work, told that they have to work for things that was already theirs. That there was this diversion of truth to, instead of inhabiting this happy home life, it's like, but you got to do this to get it type of thing, when that was not. It was kind of out of order. It was supposed to be this. This is what's after the Sun card, immediately illuminated by the sun, the prosperous card. But this was the projection that kept the masses from connecting to that reality because ultimately it was being controlled and dictated by external forces. And so now they're trying to send foot soldiers in throughout the land to test the waters and see, kind of survey to see who's still willing to drink the Kool-Aid and who isn't. They're finding that not many people of value are, because this strength card is speaking to someone of great value. Double Leo, the sun and the strength, that's like extreme, like creative influence is what I say. Someone that not only has the power potential, but also has the self-control, like to balance that power, to wield it responsibly, that has overcome the pitfalls of the ego and pride as they are. Not to say they don't still exist, but there's been a balance in there, a test and a charge as to the like a true testament of will and strength with this character here, where it renders her or him, whomever, almost like resilient to any type of finesse type of situation or anything that would try to manipulate their energy otherwise, and to, back into the cycle of where they came from, or into any new vibration of oppression or control or possession, for that matter. Like, imagine a Knight of Cups trying to possess the Strength card, this feminine energy, when she's got the Lion at her whim. Who do you think is going to get ripped to shreds here? Definitely not the Knight of Cups. And they know that. They know that they're dealing with a new power in play now. So that's why the approach is much more delicate, much more sweet and sensational. Someone and something that's looking to definitely tug on your heartstrings. Maybe someone that you've had a connection with that comes in to try to like trigger your vibration into old cycles of connectivity, maybe even tempt you with the idea of reclaiming some old opportunity, some lost opportunity of sorts. Like, that's what I'm getting. It's like this Knight of Cups is like an old flame coming back, looking like a knight in shining armor, and like he's, wanting to start something fresh, or at least I feel is that it's not even, it's like, it's a tentative approach, and what I mean by that, it's like whatever he feels upon exchange, or upon like impact, if he even makes it there at this point, like, because this is implying that he don't even make it, they're long gone. But upon impact or reconnection, however, it's like he has a cup that is interchangeable. However he feels that he may be able to sway the connection in the most favorable way for him, of course, is how he's prepared to carry on the conversation, you know what I mean, or carry on the exchange. If it seems like she may be a little bit more resistant to one aspect of communication, then he'll lay it on thick in another way. And like, it's just given desperate to me, like willing to really try anything to bridge some connection, but really needing to realize that the ship has sailed. There's nothing in that cup, as I said, that can be offered to someone sitting in this position with the supreme source of all, looming overhead. That's like I said, that's illumination, that's clarity, that's truth, that's exposure. That means this is the frequency that's flowing through this energetic being. Nothing but truth and purity can pique that interest. Definitely pierce it, let alone pass it, And here's the Knight of Wands. Should I take these? Yeah, let's take them. Oh, good. It's 4 of them. So we got the Knight of Wands, yet another knight. So that means that, if that don't work, he might try the lust factor, like to pique your sexual energy, which is not hard to do for someone in the vibration of the sun. And in the Strength card, that Leo vitality is solar plexus energy to stimulate that aspect of you, your more carnal nature. If the emotions aren't it, then they'll try to fire. This is someone that's pretty much trying everything they can, but ultimately illusional and delusional to the fact that, look, this is the Queen of Swords with her back turned to all these cups and looking in the distance, like if you consider to the real thing, like the full expression of this energy being being offered here in the Knight of Wands. Like the Knight to the King, no comparison. It's like, if you're going to come, at least come correct, my dude. You know what I mean? Like, match up. Why don't you, like, literally match up if you're going to come through? Otherwise, yeah, you might as well just head on back, head on out. And this is definitely that energy here where it's like, these are just pawns on the chessboard at this point in time. Like the so-called powers that be are too protective of their own security and vitality at this point to do the job themselves, like to come and see about you or whomever or whatever of their interest on their own. So they send out these minions, so to speak. Not really, because it's not like the Knight of Cups or Wands are really minions. They're not even pages, but sending out these vibrations that are more or less to them disposable, to just test the waters and see what bites and see what doesn't. And it seems like robotic in a sense, like they don't even have control. Like that's what it's giving me. There's no sense of control here. It's like dictatorship. Go do this, go ask this, go offer this, go try to make this deal. Maybe that's what I hear too. Because you know what? The Hierophant can also be a judge. So these could be those officials that I've been speaking about as well. These people in higher places that are now urging these middlemen, lieutenants of said pyramid scheme that I spoke of in my last message, or whatever this heist is, like whatever it is. It doesn't have to be an actual pyramid scheme, but whatever these secret endeavors are, the sun is here shining a lot of light on what's been going on underneath the surface, and people are kind of like running for cover in some way, shape, and form because their gravy train is left the station. The gravy trains have left the station. The boats have sailed out to shore. You know what I mean? And it's like, because of the spirit of the times and the cosmic order of balance and fairness, I think, did the Justice card come out? No, it didn't. But fairness, this card is the balance and harmony and peace that's of divine ordinance now, for all things to be restored according to what is justified, for people to receive what's due to them for their hard work and labor, some of which wasn't even supposed to be hard work and labor, so they're getting even more of a return, for people to move into a more peaceful and more calm existence of harmony and balance and security in their home life and the lives that they create for themselves personally, and for their natural vitality to be restored unto them, where those energies were impaled and siphoned and obstructed before, for people to just shine bright naturally as they are, as Source has ordained for it to be so. And what that's done is thrown a lot of people's egos and prides out of whack, and had many of us fall into pitfalls of those imbalanced vibrations for the sake of our own fixation on security, and dare I say even survival. We've been thrown into survival mode in a lot of ways when we were supposed to be thriving as a people. There was a delay on that energy. There's no coincidence that I spoke of the Knight of Pentacles, like what I said, like, yeah, it's stable and secure, but what was the delay? Was it even justified in the first place? Why has this harvest of sorts taken so long to be released at this point, when people have been positioned and ready to be able, in truth and in power and creativity, to receive just what is due to them, nothing more, nothing less, just what is justifiably due to them, rightfully due to them. So here's the delusion here, and I think this contributes to what I'm saying about this almost like autopilot, where people don't have a choice, that because they owe a great debt to this society that they have associated themselves with, this association, whatever it may be. They've put themselves in a this could even be that, like being reduced to toil and labor themselves for the sake of trying to, forge restitution to these energies that are looking for the return on their investments. There were energies that were these lieutenants, perfect cars for that vibration. Not quite a king, but not quite a page, like somewhere in the middle. There was a great deal of trust and resources lent to these individuals that were put in a position to carry out the spirit of this covenant by way of the Hierophant energy, the creed of whatever the covenant was, and whatever was supposed to bring vitality and prosperity back to it, and disconnect it from its rightful sources. But there's been I can't say it's been a great failure, because it hasn't all been a failure. There was a lot of quite a bit of success in what was attempted, which is why it kept going as long as it did in the first place. It's just that now people are scrambling to either protect their own ass, to recoup what they lost, or to forge some new pathway to prosperity. You see how much energy is between him, but this is what he's ultimately trying to get to. He just feels like, that's what I was saying. So it's the opportunistic energy and manipulative energy that I was getting from here, where it's like he's going to offer whatever he thinks might seal the deal. If it's love you want, I got it. If it's apology you want, I got you. If it's adoration you need, I gotcha. Whatever he thinks can turn that key to get him over this threshold, into this boat, literally, look at him, like third wheel into this boat and over into this harvest, is what he's intended to yield. But it's all in the lustful energy. This is the true vibration of the Knight of Cups. It's not loving at all. It's not even pure. It's perverted passion is what it is ultimately. And he's even going in the opposite direction from where the money resides ultimately. Still delusional and confused, following his own personal impulses, and also what's the right word? Because it's like dictated, what's being dictated from these higher energies, these what's the right word? I almost said supervisors, but that's the gist of it. But whomever they feel beholden to or in debt to at this point. Whomever is in this hierarchy position, now I can say that, is who these energies are now answering to the call of, not to their own vitality. And these are not individuals in the night energy that are in control of their own impulses or their own direction. They are taking orders, as the knight does, take orders from, say, the general or the king or whomever is in charge. They're taking orders to carry out a mission, but like I said, it's a waste of energy because the tactics are, it's like so much has been exposed at this point in time, even internally to their targets, maybe not even publicly, but internally. The intended targets are just on a different vibration now. Nobody's trying to hear that phony, that fake love. Nobody's here for that. And nobody's here for lust either, to be on the other end of somebody's lustful ambitions. It's like, if it's not pure, if it's not real, it doesn't get through. The Queen of Wands isn't even entertaining it with her back turned. She's got her focus on the king, a true match. Well, it's not really her true match, but something that measures up at least in stature. And it's like these energies have depleted themselves so much from their from their perverted ambitions that they couldn't what do you say, like they couldn't not elevate but exalt themselves if they tried. At this point, like something is going to expose them, whether it be what they're saying or the energy and vibration of what they're saying not matching their vibration and energy not matching what they're saying, or their actions not aligning with what they're expressing. Like something's off, that they can't be any more than a knight. They can't even fake it to make it to look like kings and on this vibration here, because they've depreciated their value so much at this point that they can only the truth is what's going to prevail. Even if they look the part, this is the energy that's going to precede them, So it's like a mission impossible for the most part is what I say. But so what's the point? Oh, so they're being set up. Because I'm like, so what's the point of them going? The hope of these, wow, that's crazy. The hope of the more hierarchy, the more higher elevated, I don't know, leaders in this operation. It's almost like they're feeding them to like I said, like to the lions, like feeding them to the lions, or I was going to say to the wolves, but it makes more sense to say the lions here. Just pushing them to the forefront, like you go take care of it. It's like 50-50. Either they're going to actually go get the job done, especially with the Knight of Wands, they're going to actually come back with some results, or they're going to get devoured, and that's one less problem they got to deal with. Because the issue is, especially in terms of what I was talking about earlier, is that everybody's been hustling everybody, but everybody's hands are dirty in some regard. In this scheme is what I'm talking about. There's too much exposure even within the community of everybody knowing each other's dirty laundry, and everybody has something on the other. So it's like you can't really go before a judge and actively, or maybe that's the setup too with this judge energy here. And to see the two people here at the bottom, it's like they're being set up either to achieve the mission and ultimately expose themselves, as the it's kind of like they're fronting them for, to look like the to expose themselves as the mastermind of this whole situation, when in actuality they're not. You know, it's really not even them, or at least not just them, I would say. But they're putting them up front, like forcing them to the forefront to make good on what they owe. It's like threatening. As a matter of fact, I feel a threatening vibration. That's why there's so much delusion and illusion, confusion here, because it's like they don't feel like they have a choice. Even when they come back empty-handed and have to turn around, it's like, well, damn, what else do? I don't know. If I don't get the job done, then I owe the big boss. If I do come towards so-and-so and I get rejected, then there goes my pride and ego out the door. Or, you know, if I try to approach the situation and it doesn't go my way, then, you know, it's like a lose-lose situation, honestly, which I think I already said for these nights. But the powers that be feel like it's a win-win for them, because at least it keeps their hands clean for a bit longer, keeps them behind the veil that much longer, and either pushes them, you know, into, like, puts their backs up against the wall to make something shake for their benefit, you know, or it gets rid of them. Like, it, you know, because either the people, they'll be too exposed for them to have any value, you know, to the ones that they're being prompted to approach or to check in on, or, you know, to reveal themselves to. Or they'll actually be, you know, caught up in the rapture of the law, whether it be spiritual or physical, actual law, on account of them exposing themselves as well. So it's literally like lambs to the slaughter. And it's like, I don't know if they don't know that, or they do know that, or they just don't have any other choice. Otherwise, like, literally just being stuck. Like, well, what else can I do? Because there's probably all types of threats being thrown around as to if they don't do this, what's going to happen, and they're going to be exposed and what. Yeah, definitely some, I wouldn't say blackmail, probably is, but that's not really what I'm sensing as much as it is like, I mean, I guess that is blackmail. If you tell somebody, like, if you don't do this, you're going to be exposed. But then if they do that, they're going to be exposed too. So it's like, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the lust of it all, this whole vibration over here still is lusting for some prosperous outcome. You know, this is the money card right here. This 10 of Pentacles. That's still the desire of all that are involved on the adverse side. By any means necessary is what they would like to commit to in order to secure this bag right here. But there's way too much in the midst of it all now. Too much has been done. Yeah, like, this is the prize. You know, that's the intention, to get that Ace of Pentacles, but that's of a divine source. This means it's protected. That's why it's like a mission impossible, because ain't nobody getting it. Look, more protection. I don't even know what that was, but more protection, literally. Earth angel protection. So that means in the earth and in High Priestess, I was just about to say, that means in the earth and in the celestials. Whatever this is covered. Nobody's getting their hands on that unless their name is on it, or it's ordained or assigned to them to receive. So now it's just people just playing cleanup at this point. Like, in the back of their mind, they're still lustful for the big coin, you know, which is why it's here in this direct line here, that big payout. But in the grand scheme of things, there's so much confusion. Like, that Five of Wands did come out. Remember, it's like behind the scenes, there's so much chaos and confusion and collusion that there's much more to clean up than there is to acquire at this point. Their hands are tied, their hands are full, and what they've already lost throughout this ordeal, and what they stand to lose still, or how they stand to be exposed. And, you know, everybody that hasn't been operating on the up and up is worried. And I definitely sense that there most likely is, what's this? That's 2 cards. Wow. This and the Lovers. Get out of here. The 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Cups and the Lovers here. I'll move it up because you might not be able to see down there. Wow. Yeah. Damn, what is this saying? Like, I want to be clear about this because I'm wrapping it up now. But we got the Ace of Pentacles, the Temperance, the High Priestess, the 10 of Cups, and the Lover's card. This is so much favor right here. Like the biggest prosperity you could imagine, that you can't even imagine because you can never really truly wrap your head around how the divine wants to start distributing abundance. You could idealize it, but you could never quite put your finger on it. It's protected with the Temperance card in spirit and in truth. It's concealed is what I'm hearing. So that's why it can't even be, it's like locked away in a sacred vault is what I'm getting. And then what is this giving me? It's like it's sealed and it's delivered. Signed, sealed, and delivered is what I'm hearing. Is yours. Whatever it is. This wish fulfillment is like where, and look at it, you know what I mean? From the material aspect of it all, just working for this return to having dominance and control and sovereignty over your creativity, to this being like the fullness of spiritual satisfaction, you know, almost that you can get, except for the Ace of Cups, you know, because that's again something of a divine source and ordinance. But this is like not really being able to ask for much more in the ways of happiness in your life collectively, in terms of what is generational and what is legacy. It's like a legacy of love, so to speak. Damn, I can't even wrap my mind around these last 5 cards the way that I want to. With the High Priestess, it's like maybe I'm not supposed to. It's just supposed to speak for itself. Like, you know what you've been praying for. Just add text. It's coming. You know how vulnerable you may have felt in the spirit and in truth to the elements, the more even unnatural elements that have stood to oppose your hard work and labor and just you trying to live a decent life. You weren't even trying for the 10 of Pentacles. You were just trying to have an honest living. And you know how many obstacles you faced that resisted that reality for you. You know the divine alignment that you stayed committed to, or at least had the intention to, in truth and integrity and honor, having to combat all of those mental objections and intrusions as projections from these so-called energies, powers that be, in external interference, literally having to contend with your own mind just to stay focused on living a righteous existence, and not righteous by religious, but just to live in integrity of your truth. Imagine just trying to be yourself naturally, honestly, honorably, and everything being feeling like the world is against you. To just be real, just to keep it real in life. And you know the promises that have been made to you in spirit just by way of what you desire most. That's a promise in the spirit. When you can even idealize or conceptualize a desire, a wish, a hope, a dream, that's just not by chance. That's the spirit gifting you that impression so that you have the fortitude for the faith to perceive it to be so, ultimately to make way for it to materialize. So it's not, you're never just being a dreamer, you know what I mean? You're never just fantastical to have ideas and hopes and dreams and visions beyond what you have evidence to show for, or that may even seem a little bit fantastical. That's the Spirit gifting you the revelation of what you're worthy to receive, be, do, or have. And you know what those things are, and you know the resistance that's been met with acquiring them. And it hasn't made any sense, because someone sitting in the King of Wands energy that has the power to really create any idea, you know, any reality in their life isn't short at all for the confidence and courage to do so. So it makes no sense that it's been so delayed. You know, again, what was the delay? Someone that's sitting in her truth in the most practical ways, logistically, intellectually, shouldn't have to fight so hard to stay in alignment with their spirit, you know, feeling like they always have to prove themselves, or let alone protect themselves from just being who they are. You know, the interferences, the consequences in the conventional sense of just choosing your highest vibration with the Lover's card and being insistent on your worthiness to receive that reciprocity. It's all been here. The seeds have all been planted to know that this was the inheritance. This is what you were due. And all of this interference was happening to keep this current of disconnection from this reality up until now. And it's so interesting that it came out. I'm trying to make sure I say everything before I turn over these cards. I just felt maybe it's just that it's just solidifying and affirming and confirming that it's a done deal. You know, that, like I said, it's a mission impossible at this point to try to obstruct this manifestation from materializing. Let's see. Heartbreak, trauma, yeah, and yeah. Just release that. This is of the past. This is old. This is still these energies. This is that mission impossible right here. This, amidst all of this goodness that's impending, that is present, I would even say, because there has to be some evidence of this right now. And if it's not in this very moment, you just wait. But it's these energies here, like I said, that are just working on autopilot, I keep saying autopilot, but, or automatic or whatever, that are insistent on trying to bring heartbreak to to like, what would be the opposite of heartbreak? True love, you know. Definitely with the Lover's card here, they're insistent on trying to win at all costs at this point, really, because they have they have everything to lose and nothing to lose at this point. That's all it really comes down to. But what I'm sensing is that this is the demise of those that even have the intention to project this energy, not with all this protection, not with all this promise. No way. It's a suicide mission. It's now escalated. That's what this is. It's now escalated from it being mission impossible to literally a suicide mission, because the Five of Swords is the indication that there's defeat here anyway, even with the intention to win at all costs. Like that motivation, that mentality, it defeats itself ultimately. And then when you got all of this spiritual and energetic anointing here, protection here, and spirit and in truth, it's like they're literally being sent on suicide missions. Whomever tries to even approach a force field without there being pure intentions to do so or pure motivation to do so. It's like I'm feeling like automatic damn, I just heard like heart attack, heartbreak, heart failure. It's fatal. It is fatal. And what's the 5 in this? That's the 8. That's spiritual imprisonment or actual imprisonment with the 8 of Swords. So there's that if, and with the judge here, that brings it all back full circle. These officials are setting up these lieutenants and these knights as they are on the board to ultimately eliminate themselves on suicide missions, to either be stopped in their tracks by the opposition or the rejection, to set them up. They may actually be for real setting them up legally to be caught in the act, to be stopped in their tracks by some legal interference or law enforcement interference, or for them to literally, and this could even be spiritually so, like self-destruct, because energy such as this that's so highly protected, it's like as soon as an energy such as, in this frequency would even approach this force field, it would be like a zap to the senses. Like literally, that's why probably why I'm here. It'll be like a, what are those things called? Like a tase to even try to approach at this point. That's why it's so important for those of us that are walking, living in the upright, to just stay focused on that frequency. I've said before, righteousness is refuge. You don't have to be worried. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to, arm yourselves with any weapons per se. You don't have to feel like you can't leave your house. You don't even have to necessarily feel like you need security, although there may be a time for that in some regards. You just have to be living in integrity, in your truth, believing in the protection that is beyond you and within you. All of that takes into account. It's almost like this is a bubble of a force field, like a rainbow aura is what I'm hearing, around individuals that have chosen to live in their most supreme self. That it doesn't mean you're perfect, but you've chosen to live a righteous life in some way, shape, or form, to walk in integrity, not to infringe on anybody's energy, definitely not such as this, not doing anything dishonest that would put you in a position to bring negative karma, that ultimately you've cleared a lot of karmic energy from your force field by way of healing, which the Sun card represents, by intentionally for the purposes of healing and just working on whatever it is that keeps you happy and in alignment. Grace and gratitude with life. This is the complete octave of that energy. Someone that is fueled by their pride and ego to do everything, that needs to be affirmed and confirmed and is measured by external extremities, and I do mean extremities purposefully. And this is the fate of those intentions. And don't worry, those in the higher realms and that's why I was probably saying they're trying to test the waters by sending them out, because they want to see what happens to them, and they're so disposable in their eyes that they're like, well, just send their asses out and see what happens. Worst case scenario, they're off our hands. Best case scenario, they actually make something shake or get the job done. And this is going to be the evidence of what not to do. Maybe even the warning sign for those that are looking from a distance, like that Page of Swords tried to peek out, looking, observing, watching from behind the curtain or from a distance to see like what's going to happen. What happens if he approaches? What happens if he tries to reconnect? What happens if he executes whatever this plan or of action is that's been determined? They want to see what happens before they even attempt to try to push forward, even attempt to make any impact, let alone attack against these energies that have been since liberated from this oppression. They need to know what the consequences are first, and they're going to see. They're going to see. But the consequences are only going to roll up to the ones that have forced this in the first place. So it's not like they're going to evade, their karma altogether, or evade the so-called consequences or the exchange for their energetic sowing. They're not going to miss that harvest, no way, no how. It's going to be just as brilliant and bright as it is for those that are, on the up and up. Probably more of an exposure, as a matter of fact, because they ultimately are still keeping the cycle going by sending more, putting the pressure on individuals to, ultimately sacrifice themselves to the slaughter. That's sullying the hands even more so. So it's just a lose-lose situation on this side of the board, quite honestly, But, what can you even say? What can you even say? Well, this is the message. I'm sleepy. This energy is wearing me out. Y'all just keep focusing on what matters most, and you matter most above all. Remember that, obviously, consider all this energy about little old you. You must have something valuable to offer in order to make all this fuss. What's that Beyonce line? What she say? I must be the something to create all I forget the damn line, goddamn. But if I find value enough to find it and post it, I will. But something special about you, and you're about to see exactly what it is and experience it in real time if you don't already know. And I get the sense that you can't possibly have the full idea of why this has all been in the first place, just what value you truly do have in order to incite all of this madness. You've provoked a great deal of people to ultimately leap off the edge of a cliff, energetically, spiritually, and in some cases, actually, because they just won't stop. They just won't stop. And it's not simply just their own pride and ego. That's a great deal of the force behind it. But there's something that these energies have been so lustful for: your vitality, your creativity, your purity, your intellect, maybe physically, your money, your harvest, your prosperity, your spirit of productivity. a great deal, and it definitely indicates it's something material as well, not just energetic. It's both. It's all of it. But whatever it is, it's protected because you are protected. And anything at this point that tries to manipulate, obstruct, steal, kill, or destroy is ultimately hitting the Uno reverse on their own self. Period. And that's that on that. So, and I would, dare I say, immediately, because that's what I feel like, immediate return to sender, return karma, like energetic exchange returned. Like it's done. There's no more of that. It's like as soon as he's coming in is as soon as he's going out. And it's like he ain't even know what hit him. So, hopefully, I don't even see no evidence of it, so I'm not even going to waste my breath. This is the ultimate demise of anyone that doesn't wise up, I guess I should say, and turn over a new leaf and look towards some other motivation to win in life that doesn't involve the detriment or casualty of another living being. Because spirit ain't having that no more. No way, no how. Definitely not against those that have proven themselves to be in alignment and that are maintaining a divine alignment. There's just no way that that's going to be admissible in spiritual court or in truth. Even in physical man's court, the hammer is going to be brought down on anyone. Like the police might meet this objective before it even, this motivation before it even gets out the gate. It's just not the time for that. It's just not the time. All right, so I hope you have a wonderful night. I will definitely be checking in at some point tomorrow, but it's Halloween, and as I've said, my son has been counting down. He's very excited. So I'm all hands on deck in mom mode for Halloween tomorrow, from the time his eyes open until, because he's probably going to be trying to put his costume on from the jump. And low key, I'll post a picture of him tomorrow, but his costume this year is special ops, like the Call of Duty dude with the skeleton mask and the whole army gear or whatever. But get into it, special ops, and I got the revelation today that his costumes for the past few years have been prophetic in some way, whether it projected some measure of warning or even protection in some way. Because last year he was death with red glowing eyes, and I will post a picture of that too if I still have one. So it's like, and that was definitely the energy that was roaming around. That spirit was roaming around last year, particularly seeking whom it could devour, as a projection of these energies, as a matter of fact, from the source of this dispatch, or from the dispatch of this source is what I should say. So people better be careful of what they're still, insisting upon, because this is literally, once your heart stops, then what? Then what you gonna do? Ain't much that can be done about that, unless you're blessed to get a second chance, and you damn sure better do something wise with it if you do. So anyway, hope you enjoy your Halloween tomorrow as well, whether it be with your kids or just you fancying whatever you do. Be careful, be safe, use discernment, and enjoy yourself. Because above all, as much as I've been giving out warnings, like, you are definitely covered. You just have to continue to cover yourself. And we do that by operating in that integrity, in that alignment, in co-creation and surrender to our emotional intuition that gives us signs and signals to know when we might need to relieve ourselves of that person, place, or thing, or excuse ourselves from it, or when it's safe to kick off your shoes or whatever you do and enjoy. So hopefully you find yourself in spaces that are of the latter and having a good time. And much protection and peace, prosperity by way of candy to all the kitties, and definitely heavy on the peace and prosperity portion of the prayer. That everyone that goes out or does anything, or even if you stay home, is safe and secure in your own space, to do so. Safe, sound, and secure. All right, so thank you again, as if I haven't said that about 3 times at least now, but I guess I can never say it enough. Thank you for listening and watching. And until next time, I'll leave you with peace.